Okay, so this will be a feedback slash critique for. I actually don't know how to pronounce this. Asivius? Apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong. We'll go off of what's on the video. We'll say Nemesis. Oh, this is fine. Okay, I don't believe that I've done a feedback for you before. I mean, we've chatted a few times. Yeah, so I go by like Shazam on the Discords and stuff. And the breakdown is this. I am by no means a professional at this game. I'm just someone who enjoys Tekken a lot, and I enjoy Fahk a lot, right? I am not coming from a perspective of this is the utmost maximum of what you can do with Fahk. My perspective is just this. Based on my experiences playing Tekken, based on my experiences playing Fahk, fighting Fahk, and watching other Fahk players, right? It's just kind of like a, here are some areas that I think you can improve on, or here's some food for thought, right? At the end of the day, my feedback is just that. It's just food for thought. It is by no means gospel, right? You know, take what I say with a grain of salt, but take it into consideration. And if you have questions, I'm more than happy to try and like help out. With that said, let's get started. I think the overarching themes of what I'm watching in these matches is that you're overcommitted to your offense, and that your defense you seem to be very uncertain of just kind of like a there's a hesitation in your defense, and you're too trigger happy with some of your more offensive moves because they either have a big reward or they're just kind of if blocked, right, they're fine. They're either very rewarding on hit or safe on block, so you're not in a super bad situation. But the problem is that it just seems to be like this over reliance on utilizing these moves when all you really need to do is just kind of block, just hold back, give yourself some breathing room, and let your opponent, the Jin, kind of hang himself, because he's very passive on his defense, right? He's very passive on his defense, doesn't try to like duck that often, doesn't try to challenge your buttons unless he knows that you're going to go for a slow move after your plus frames. And he doesn't really, he's not really that scary when he's blocking, right? He's not going to do any crazy antics. He just kind of tries to tough it out. But then on offense, he gets overcommitted very easily. Like simply holding back or backdashing would open up a lot of whiff punishment opportunity. And it happens a few times throughout the round where you get some really good whiff punishes in. But those are going to be kind of the overarching themes that I noticed. And then the usual breakdown is just kind of like I review some matches with some just first impressions or my impressions of the match, with kind of trying to highlight like, hey, here are some areas to showcase what I'm going to be talking about later. And at the end, I'll wrap it up with just kind of an overview of here are my 2 cents on everything. Right. So right off the bat, right? People are naturally very aggressive online. Like I know you say this is offline. This might be your friend, but I don't know. It's like, given the past history of your matches where this guy is pretty aggressive, right? Like he's not throwing out electric and forward for all day every day, but when he's given the opportunity to be the aggressor, there's a lot of opportunity that he can overextend. Right? What did you do, down forward 1? Right. It just feels like a weird situation of why would you try and challenge there right at the start, as to why. Now granted, your down forward 1 should have beaten him per se, given the speed of the move, but right here you see like the little backdash, or little backstep that he does, that gives him an easy whiff punishment opportunity, right? So it's not really necessarily that the what's the word? That you lost to the hop kicks or the cans. It's just he felt like you were going to be aggressive at the start of one simple backdash into a whiff punish, right? So right here, I think as the matches progress, you just kind of also do the same thing of just hold back a little bit. There's no need for you to be on the offense, right? First, see what your opponent likes to do, and then establish your game plan. So like right here, what exactly was the reasoning, right? Like you get the sidestep and then immediately go for the wall bounce, but it's kind of a risky situation, right? I don't know what exactly he was doing. Maybe he was doing like one of his 1+2 buttons. It looks like he was gonna strike a pose and then strike you. But it feels like at that close range, like forward 1+2 isn't that fast. It's like 20 frames, right? Oh no, is the bot down? Or... oh, that's awkward. Alright, well, he's gonna be very, I want to say, I'm just gonna pull up Jeppo. I'm not gonna do this without my frame data. But you're looking at like 20-ish frames, right? It's kind of like a, I don't know. It's like risky. I don't know. Part of it is that it's like, okay, well, you're assuming that his back is to the wall, so it's understandable. Oh, huh. 21 frames. Yeah. It's not the worst thing you could have done. I just think it's more. It's like an unnecessary risk. Like, yeah, it works out, but the Jin could have pressed anything. Like, if the Jin pressed 4, you were gonna be in really big trouble, right? I think in that position, you focus more on putting yourself in a stronger position, which is further continuing the sidestep, hope, and then anticipating either a magic 4 from the Jin, or seeing, you know, what else he's going to do, and trying to making sure that the Jin's back is to the wall before you go for any sort of like, you know, like your wall bounce move and stuff. It ends up working out here to your favor, so it's like, it's not the worst thing in the world. Okay, so again, you go for the wall bounce, and it's, again, you're not putting yourself in the worst possible position, right? Like, you're not punishable. The move is what, only -7. This is fine. However, right, I think you have to still soften them up first, right? Like, you have a very high preference for a lot of mids, a lot of like down forward 4, a lot of, you know, wall bounce and stuff like that. And I think first you have to focus on softening them up with down back 4 or down forward 3. Down by 4, understandably risky because Jin does have a 14 frame crouching launcher, but something like down forward 3 for some easy chip damage first. Give them a reason to duck, or even just first duck in their face and then try to enforce like a full crouch mix up before just kind of giving up your turn like that, right? I feel like you have so much advantage with all of your charged unblockables at the wall. The hesitation, the ball, like, how do I say this? The advantage is heavily in your favor. But then just immediately sacrificing that for kind of like a big Hail Mary play, I don't, you know, first soften them up. Give them a reason to try and like freak out and challenge you, right? So doing something like forward 3, doing something like back forward 4 at the wall where the pushback is very much negated and you can kind of just do whatever you want, right? Situations like that. Do those first and then try to apply mids based on how your opponent is reacting. Just immediately doing the mid, I think, is just, it's not the worst thing to do. It just feels like you could be maximizing your advantage a bit more. And good catch on the duck. Unfortunate. Oh, was there, what happened? So, okay, right here, you block forward 4 from Jin, right? You are now neutral force crouched. Wait, was it forward 4? Yeah, so you block forward 4 from Jin. You are now neutral force crouch. What was your reasoning behind? I'm assuming the noise in my head is saying 3+4, right? And you just get jabbed out of it. What was the reasoning behind there, right? Why? What were you expecting to really challenge him out of? In these types of situations, keep in mind you have a full crouch mix-up, right? You have a full crouch mix-up, so Jin putting you in forced crouch is actually very detrimental to the Jin. Now he's putting himself in a mix-up, right? If he wants to challenge you, if he wants to make sure that you're not pressing too many fast buttons. He has to rely on a lot of highs, right? Jin has a down forward 1, but it's still kind of like, if he wants to stop you from pressing wall standing 4, down forward 1 isn't going to work out, right? His fastest option is going to be a jab that will beat out mostly anything that you try and do. That doesn't keep you crouched or force a high crush. So like right here, I felt like you were fine just going for, did you instead do hell sweep? It doesn't look like it. I don't think it was hell sweep, right? I think it was 3+4. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but my opinion is kind of like in those situations when you're forced crouch, it's a bit of a matchup thing. It's just kind of just hold down back. What does the Jin like to do? Does he first like to try and challenge you with the fast button to disrupt any sort of, to try and punish you for pressing in that situation, right? If he does, that means future situations you can just go for hell sweep, right? For an easy knockdown. Besides that, I mean, I don't think there's anything else I would add. I mean, maybe 3-4-4 would have given you the extra bit of wall carry you needed. So like right here again, it's a my only 2 cents would be something like, hey, you know, use something like down forward 3, or do something like right here. This is where you start doing 3-4-4, right? Just try and be like, all right, what does this guy like to do? Is he going to be ducking at the wall? A 3 will easily hit him, and then 4-4 cancel into whatever you want, right? Maximize your tools that normally have kind of, that have like pushback to them. Maximize their usage at the wall, right? 3-4-4 is solid, but the +6 is not always useful because of the pushback. Same thing with back forward 4. But when your opponent's back is to the wall, you don't have to worry about that as much, right? Obviously, back forward 4 is going to be a bit trickier because it's a high and he was already ducking, right? But something like just 3-4-4 to try and be like, all right, are you ducking again? No? Okay, whatever. And then you can end on a safe high. Because whenever this guy blocks, it's very rarely that he's going to be blocking low, right? Anytime in the neutral that's between just you two brawling, it's always like, he just blocks everything, right? Down forward 4-3, doesn't care, not going to duck, right? Down forward 4-3-3, right? When you do like the mid-ender, doesn't care, just blocks it, right? He's very passive on his defense until he's more certain of when he wants to take his turn. And so you should be utilizing that to your advantage. It's just kind of like, okay, you're not going to challenge me or duck. Let me abuse the moves that normally fall prey to that until he actually starts ducking. That's fine. Okay, so what happened here? Back 3. So again, why the back 3, right? In the entire situation that you've been blocking the Jin, he's just been backdashing, right? He's not trying to sidestep you here. He's not trying to sidestep you there, right? What was the reason behind, I guess, the double back 3, or just even the back 3 in general, right? It felt like you were a bit too antsy on pulling the trigger, and it's kind of like you don't have a reason to yet. I feel like throughout the matches that I've seen, there are very few times where he actually starts trying to sidestep or challenge you. He just most of the time just keeps blocking your moves until you do something that ends your turn. So doing something to take more advantage of that first, right? So it's about first give the Jin a reason to like sidestep or duck or do other stuff, right? Once you establish that, then you can start focusing on using back 3. I mean, outside of whiff punishing. But like right now, it doesn't feel warranted. Unfortunate. Yep, that's just how it'd be on the 50-50. And this is another thing. So like right here, right, you immediately wake up, do a get up kick, get some chip damage and fine. But then you immediately do like a move, right? And on wake up, you just feel you feel a little too anxious, like you're just too trigger happy on any panic moves, right? I've seen wake up orbital, I've seen a lot of wake up sabaki, which I think is asking to die, right? The moves in -17 on block high, right? should the Jin be more aware of that situation, you're just asking to die. And it feels like once you get the advantage, like you got your chip damage in with get up 3, just call it a day, right? Focus more on how do you get yourself out of this crappy stage position. So you get the get up 3, both of your backs are to the, or both of your sides are to the wall, and either one could lead to kind of like a risky side splat or something, right? And the Jin immediately starts sidestepping in order to position himself better so that you're against the wall, and you go for the orbital, which I don't think is, again, not the worst thing. I'm just sort of not sure what was the reasoning behind going for it in this specific situation, versus if you just started backdashing and then seeing that he's trying to position himself so that your back is to the wall, and then going, oh, okay, and then immediately trying to adjust, right? A lot of situations I'm seeing you overcommit to a move when you could just hold back, the Jin will whiff something and you get an easy whiff punish, or you just backdash and then you can see what the Jin is doing and then better base your game plan around that, right? You're too proactive. You need to be a little bit more reactive, rein it in a little bit, and then when you are proactive, I just think there are better moves you could be doing, but that's a different story. Unfortunate. That was just a good read. Good punish. I'm gonna test that later. That was just an unfortunate issue with the sidestep. What? Okay, so what could have gone differently? Like right here, yeah, it's an unfortunate whiff punish, but like look at him immediately. So he whips a button in your face. He's like, all right, I'm just gonna start backdashing or holding back. Whips another button in your face, and he's just holding back. You kind of read it here, like you walk forward a little bit. I guess you weren't sure of the range, and then you do down back 4. I think. I don't disagree with the decision. I disagree with the timing. I don't think there was a reason for you to like do down back 4. I don't think you needed to walk a little bit. I'm gonna say that I think that it wasn't on purpose. It was just kind of an input that you did, and then when you realize like, oh, he's just holding back. All right, let me go for a low. I don't think that was a bad decision at all. But like right here, it's just a situation of, remember, your buttons hit from like range 4, right? So you don't need to be holding forward a little bit to adjust for range or anything. Like right here in these situations, wait, what do you do? Oh, you just do jab. That's not the worst thing. It's not the worst thing. Yeah, I think you have the right idea, but I think you need to pull the trigger a bit earlier on the down back 4, and that would have gotten you some decent chip damage. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with the decision. Trying to whiff punish the forward 4 was fine. I just think you're too trigger happy, which is unfortunate. Huh, that's funny. This is also gonna be a theme, right? When you're, does he parry it? I don't think he parries it, because I'm not seeing the full parry animation from Jin. I think he just woke up in a weird position. So here's the issue, right? You have a strong position, and then for some reason you are overcommitting to like the charged up knee, right? And I think first this happens a lot, right? You get the knockdown at the wall, you go for your Oki, but the Oki whiffs because the opponent just kind of side rolled, and then they woke up in a slightly different angle. And then Tekken 7 did Tekken 7 things where, oh, your opponent was a pixel off axis, all your shit whiffs, right? I get that, that's annoying, but like right here, you had no reason to go for down 3-4 and to charged knee, right? I think the more moves that you do leading up to the charged move, right, into the charged string, it's risky because it leads into a situation of the opponent has more time to react, right? Think about it like this. Your end goal is this thing that if the opponent reacts to it, they can punish you heavily. And the more steps you take to get to that end move, that end result, is more time for your opponent to react. That's why I feel like if you look at like MBC when he's playing Fahk and some other Fahk players, you see a lot more back 2-1, right? Back 2-1 has this whole mind game attached to it of, okay, I'm gonna press back 2 and I'm gonna hold 1, and if I see you move slightly, I'm just gonna let it go uncharged, right? You won't get any like changed benefits. It'll just be regular back 2-1, but you can kind of try to mess around with it as like a sort of twitch confirm, where you press back 2, if you see the opponent twitch, you press 1, and if you don't, you just keep holding 1 until it's fully charged, and then you let it rip. And that's when you can really take advantage of your opponent's hesitation, right? So if you're going to use the charge moves, try to use something that is harder to react to, right? Now, that's the first part. The second part is focusing more on positioning yourself in a much stronger position, right? Here, instead of once you get the combo, here instead of trying to focus on implementing the string cancel, you focus on positioning yourself so that the Jin's back is fully to the wall, so that your Cobb is the Jin, so that Cobb wakes up into the situation of, oh fuck, I gotta get out of the wall right away. And then once he starts moving, then you can start utilizing like back forward 4, back 3, etc., right? And think about it like this, right? Your opponent should be facing 2 walls, the wall behind him of the literal stage, and then you as Fahk, with all of these buttons that you can pester with from range 3, and the Jin can't really do anything without risks, right? And if he throws out a button, he's much more at risk of getting whiff punished and wall splatted because of down forward 4, 3, than Fahk is at risk of really any sort of issues. Being up close and personal like this isn't the worst situation to be in, but you're not able to leverage the wall as strongly as you could be doing, in my opinion. Right. But and then the third part is just in general, there's a lot of situations where the opponent just wakes up at a fucked ankle and all your pressure's kind of gone. And I felt like if you focus more on positioning yourself, like focus more on just moving around and then letting the opponent wake up into your stuff, you'll have a better understanding of, okay, is this guy gonna wake up at a good angle where I can use it, or is my shit gonna whiff? What did he hit you out of? Wall standing 3? Oh, wall standing 1. Okay, so maybe. I can't remember. So what's it? Yeah, it's a hard say. Like, I don't think that you've made the worst decision, but it goes back to that thing of like, you're overcommitting to a move when if you just backdash slightly or held down back, you could see that you could let the Jin whiff and then punish him, right? Just a bit more patience on your side and less overcommitting to buttons and stuff, and the Jin will just hang himself. Because under pressure, he just feels the need to like start throwing out stuff, right? Like he's throwing out of like 2-4 and all this other stuff. And you can just wait. And if he starts moving away, again, this is fine because you have pretty strong tracking buttons, right? Down 4 is basically homing. Down back 4 should still hit pretty well. Like, I don't think most people can like sidestep that. I have to double check the tracking. I'll probably do that this weekend or some shit. Right? Just a little too trigger happy on the moves, and the result is you getting counter hit. I mean, that move's just an instant screw launcher now, so it's not too bad. Okay, so like right here, right? The bot's down. Fuck. Yeah. Unfortunate. So after the 4-4-2, like Jin's Demon Paw, right? I think he's pretty negative. I don't know about the immediate doing 3+4. I think, all right, he's did Demon's Paw. I need to just start moving the way out of here, right? And just start trying to escape the wall and force him. And yes, the Jin can read this and start doing tracking moves like Electric or something, or doing something like Magic 4. But that's what you want, because these Jin has to take slightly more risk and open himself up if he tries to use a lot of his more homing and tracking moves, right? Like his Magic 4 is godlike, but it is a duckable high with reasonable whiff recovery that you can punish. Immediately going into a move and killing your turn, leaving you... What does 3+4 leave you at? -7 or -9? I love 3+4, but the button is kind of crazy. -9, right? Your turn's over, and now you can't move, you can't do anything, and now your back's to the wall. And I just don't think that's like the greatest spot to put yourself in. At worst, if you want to challenge with the move, just do a jab, right? It's not super flashy. How much does 1-1 leave you at? 1-1 -7. It's not the best, whatever. But just doing a singular jab and then being like, okay, I'm +1. Let me try to move around stuff, right? Huh. Hey, I mean, it worked out. I got nothing to say there. I just still think it's kind of like you could be doing that a bit more safely. Nice. Good old back one. Oh, oops, I missed that. Okay. Right. I mean, Jin should have launched you. So what was the reasoning behind that? I don't know. Okay. That's fine. Unfortunate. Oh, there we go. Oh, that was a good read on the Jin. Why? I don't know. It's like a safe call out move, but I don't know. Just do down forward 2-3, I guess. That's my opinion. But okay. Nice. Kind of a Hail Mary, but whatever. We take those. Unfortunate. Right. So that goes back into the situation. Okay. So let's. How did we get here? A whiff punish. This is fine. A lucky orbital. And then kind of rushing in. And he woke up at a weird angle, and then you're dead. Okay, so like right there, right? I get it. You have low life, and you need to like close out this round. But it's kind of like, think about all the range you get to work with, but the Jin does not, right? Yes, Jin has forward 4, but he doesn't have Fahk standing 3, right? He doesn't have the ability to press a button at any point. That's 13 frames, mind you, 13 frames, and just be like, stop what you're doing, right? He doesn't have this long range mid poke that he can just press at whatever time. While it's a crappy situation for both of you, again, you have buttons that hit from a much farther range that the Jin will be able to effectively control. So I think it goes back into that you're just overeager on offense and it's getting you killed, right? Literally here, but in a lot of situations you're just overeager on offense and then the Jin counter hits you out of stuff. When simply just letting the Jin wake up and then seeing what he does and then basing your offense around that. Good backdash, unfortunate lack of whiff punish, but that moves kind of fast, so it's fine. Why? Okay, let's just keep going. I think this will be the last round, and then if there's more, I'll look at it later. Okay. Oh wait, you got it, nice. Oh, the counter hit ghetto kick, okay. Unfortunate. Was it this round? Yeah, okay, I think it was the previous round. Nice. I can't find the round what I was gonna talk about. Anyway, let's just do the wrap up. Neutral punishment / matchup knowledge combos / Oki personal opinion stuff. Neutral. You're overly aggressive when you try to like start your pressure and stuff, and it feels like you're kind of at a loss when it comes to the opponent's just blocking. What do I do? All right, let me just keep pressing counter hit launchers, even though they really never press into them. Like, it rarely happens. Like, does it happen? Yes. Does it happen to a significant amount where I would say keep pressing 3+4 as much as you can throughout the round? No. There's a really good sequence you did where that's also a good sequence. You do 3-4-4. Where is it? It's right here. Yeah, so 3-4-4. Immediately do instant wall running 3. And now you have a mix-up opportunity. And so like right here, let's take what we know into consideration. This is like the 5th or 6th round you fought this guy, right? He focuses a lot more on blocking low, right? He doesn't block low or duck that often. You did 3-4-4, you did instant wall running 3. He didn't try to parry you, he didn't try to challenge you with the sidestep, he didn't try to challenge you with the button, which may or may not have worked out. It's kind of hard to tell. And in the past, when he does block low or when he does duck, he does down back. He doesn't low parry you, right? So in this situation, I felt like you would have been perfectly fine just doing down forward 3 for some chip damage, right? Yes, it is not as explosive, but you can know of 2 things. 1, the Jin is not going to be able to sidestep you or move around, and 2, the Jin is not going to be able to challenge down forward 3. Right, down forward 3 is 18 frames. You are +9 minimum from instant wall standing 3 or instant wall running 3, and they're just not going to be able to do anything. So you have a free opportunity for chip damage. My opinion would just straight up just be like, press down back 4 and it'll hope that it works out. Right, down forward 3 is 20 frames. No way. Yeah, it's whatever. Anyway. Right, and hope that it works out. Obviously, easier for me to say, and it's a lot harder when the opponent has a 14 frame crouching launcher. But we know that he just blocks, right? And at work, it's -13. He gets a good punish. But you're not going to have to worry about a launch, right? So you get some easy chip damage and get to see if he's going to block low. And so that way, when you recreate the situation again, not exactly this exact sequence, but okay, I'm in a heavily advantageous situation. I've gone low previously. I'm now softened up Cobb to think that, to at least expect a low, so it's more likely that he'll be ducking, right? Previous, at least in the very early rounds, it was just a lot of mid after mid after mid, right? Or like mid high with down forward 4-3 or something like that. Or you do mid with down forward 4, cancel 3-3 into the mid plus and block mid. These are not bad situations, but I'm not seeing enough threats that would make the opponent want to duck. Yes, you do back forward 4, but it's not. He's just able to block it, right? I guess what I should say, I don't mean just duck, but I mean specifically low block. So there needs to be a bit more chip damage on your end, right? And treating less focus on these big counter hit rewards and more on this kind of like, I'm just gonna keep chipping you down, right? Down 4-3 is 15 damage. That's respectable damage for a low with its impressive range. Yes, it's negative on hit and it's -13, but it's about the chip damage, and so that way you can just keep focusing on chipping away at your opponent. In situations you can do the mid as much as you want, but if the opponent just stand blocks all day and you're not giving them any reasons to either challenge you or to duck, your mids just aren't going to be as effective. I don't mean to harp on the low point too much. It's just something that I notice is not like the hugest deal in the world. The main thing would be your over eagerness on offense and using a lot of slower buttons because they're big buttons, right? You'd use a lot of forward 1+2, a lot of down forward 4-3, etc., etc. And these aren't the worst things to do, but you can get a lot more mileage with just a simple jab, right? Focus more on jabbing the opponent as a means of disruption or challenging them, and challenging them less with just these slow buttons that sometimes work out and yes, they do have big rewards. But you more often than not, you either get hit out of them or kill your turn and leave yourself at a really bad position against the Jin. It's not the worst thing to do, it's just you could be leaving yourself in better positions more often and trying to leverage that advantage into something versus, all right, I'm going to press the button that ends my turn. Okay, it ended my turn. I got nothing else to do. Right? Uh, and like I get it, Fahk doesn't exactly have like the world's greatest sidestep, but just simply doing one into sidestep to see if the Jin likes to jab a lot and aim for whiff punish and that type of stuff, it'll be more than, again, overcommitting to these power moves that you keep doing. Other aspects of neutral. Try to play just a bit more defensively. Work on that defense of like, okay, I'm under pressure, instead of relying on, my parries and wake up into orbital or some other move, right? Focus more on just, all right, I'm just going to block and then focus on chipping out the Jin, and we'll see how well that works out. It just feels like you're overcommitting to your offense when you don't need to be, and simply just blocking, letting the Jin whiff a little bit more for some juicy whiff punishes, or just hanging back in general and putting less risk on yourself. Being a bit more judicious with your buttons. Punishment / matchup knowledge. Just taking more advantage of what your opponent is doing. Does your opponent never duck? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying your opponent's default behavior, Cobb's default behavior is, I'm just gonna hold back and block all these mids and stuff. They're never really worried about the low. They don't really care about back forward 4 because of the pushback, right? Stuff like that. And just taking more advantage of that, taking more advantage of, okay, here's an opponent who's not low blocking, so I'm gonna start using my lows until they start doing that, right? The few times that you do, I felt like the timing was a little too obvious, right? And then also not taking more advantage of the generous range on your lows. Like, you don't need to dash into it, just press down back 4 when the opponents just keep stand blocking, right, for some easy benefit. And what else? And then utilizing more plus on block mids like forward 3 or instant wall running 3. You use it a few times, but I know there are times where it does heavily backfire on you. But like you saw in situations with the 3-4-4, like you saw, okay, this guy is just gonna be standing still. All right, instant wall running 3 to get to keep free rolling that advantage. Sorry, back to neutral for just a minute. There are a lot of times in these situations where the Jin just kind of dashes up to you for free, and I think you need to practice more with like using jabs as a form of keep out, right? Just throw out the jab. If he runs into it, awesome. If he runs into it and blocks it, whatever, right? Or at least even something like down back 4 when the Jin's just, because he's not doing like wave at you, he's just dash blocking in your face, right? He's dash blocking, but he's like holding back, right? So gauge the distance and then aim for just a well-timed down back 4, just for some, you're not gonna be able to maximize the advantage, but you get some pretty chunky damage, right? Down back 4 is like what, still 20-25 for 21 damage. Perfectly fine, right? If the opponent's rushing in at you and they're trying to dash block and trying to like bait you out to do some big commitment keep out move, and then you just do a low which hits them because it has stupid range and they're just holding back, they're not holding down back enough, easy chip damage. And all these little bits of chip damage add up, right? Like an extra down forward 3 here, 1 down back 4 there, and then you get free 35 damage, right? So focusing more a bit on that, of kind of like, okay, I've clearly hit, this guy's just not going to be blocking low as often. Alright, back to punishment / matchup knowledge. Jin's a weird case. It's just kind of like, you gotta out Tekken them, right? And yeah, Jin's got some really annoying tools, like he gets electric, hell sweep, yada yada yada. But Fahk has his own set of annoyingness. Maybe utilizing 3 a bit more. This is a situation of, okay, well the opponent, I'll talk about that in personal opinion stuff. But just a bit more compact play, a bit more focus on chip damage, and focus more on leveraging your range, and less putting yourself right in front of Jin's face. Like, I see a lot of Fahk that are, I've seen a lot play, like, they're super up close, they're very aggressive, constantly like pressing buttons in their face, pressing down forward on into mix-ups, and it's like, that's there, that's always going to be there. But I feel like just in general, you don't want to be contesting Jin too much, because he does have his magic 4, he does have, He does have his parry up close that you need to be mindful of and stuff like that. So when you overcommit to your offense, you're just opening yourself up to getting parried and all this other stuff. It's just a hassle that's not worth it. Combos / Oki. I thought your combos were fine. Your wall damage is always really good. You always try to capitalize and maximize wall damage. Your Oki, I think you again overcommit on that. You just run up, the opponent just woke up at an awkward angle, and then you get blown up for it. And I feel like you're not leveraging more of just kind of being this iron wall of, I'm going to advance forward, you're going to wake up, and then now you have to deal with all my long range tools. And just kind of the knowledge of, at any point I can press a button and you'll likely get hit by it or have to block it, right? So overcommitment on Oki, and that also goes in the reverse as well, right? An overcommitment to panic options when you're on defense, when you're waking up. And it's just kind of like, why? Why are you doing this? What is your what do you hope to achieve by pressing orbital randomly and then pressing down 3+4 randomly, or even the kick parry, right? First, just hold back, just wake up, hold back, and then start assessing what does your opponent like to do in that situation. If you just get up like normal, does Cobb give you a few seconds of breathing room before trying to rush in? Does he immediately try to rush in? Does he try to focus on positioning to making sure that your back is to the wall, etc., and then utilizing that to tailor your knowledge, or tailor your game plan? Combo / Oki. Personal opinion stuff. These are options that I think are neat, but obviously your mileage may vary. Back 2-3 is really fucking easy and easily abusable, right? Like you have a whole mix-up, a canned mix-up in that string alone, right? Especially at the wall when you can start, what's the word? Faking the unblockable and whatnot, right? But I think back 2-3 just by itself is fine to throw out every now and again. Punish the opponent for thinking that they can just keep stand blocking all day, every day, right? It's kind of risky to do back two. Oh god, back two by itself is just 15. It's -15. That's fucking scary. That's scary. But I think using back 2-3 occasionally, just testing your opponent and seeing like, are they ready for this, is perfectly fine. You need to be able to just force them. Again, it goes back into give them a reason to start ducking and forcing them to start looking out for all sorts of stuff. And then back 2-3 I think is a fantastic low. Like it's a really good chunky damage. 23 damage. That low does so much damage. It's insane, right? And then it's +2 force crouch on hit, right? So plenty of decent options there. A singular jab is your friend, right? Just doing a simple jab, see what your opponent likes to do. Do they immediately duck? Do they immediately try to backdash? Do they immediately try to press buttons? Stuff like that. You're just, a lot of your move choices are, okay, I'm left at -7 to -9, my turn is over. And just reducing a few of those and focusing more on singular jabs to try and focus on positioning, to try and focus on gauging the habits of your opponent would better serve you. And then abuse the range of standing 3. Same idea, right? You have a long range button from stupid far away that forces the opponent into, okay, I have to deal with this now. And then it gives you information. Don't overcommit to strings, right? Don't just always do 3-4-4, right? Just do 3 and take knowledge of like, okay, what does the Jin like to do? Does he keep standing? Does he immediately try to block low? Does he immediately try to dick jab, right? And what are your options based around that? Other tools that I like a lot. No, I feel like you have very competent mastery of like Fahk Mom's tools and stuff. There's not really much to add here. Just here's my personal opinion, right? But overall, I'd say that it feels like there's too much focus on you're trying to apply your game plan versus adjusting to what your opponent likes to do. I know it's easier said than done, but that's just what I'm observing. It's kind of like a failure to take advantage more of your opponent's habits. And again, easier said than done, but just something to, like I said at the beginning of all this, it's just food for thought at the end of the day, right? And how you want to utilize it, maybe you want to utilize all of it, maybe you want to utilize none of it, it's all up to you. Right? And I hope this helped. It's just like all my other videos, it's just me rambling for God knows how long. If you have any further questions, I'd be more than happy to try and help out. Right? I can't say that it'll be great. I'm not exactly a lab monster, but I'll do what I can. All right, take care, man.